Greetings to everyone. This presentation has been recorded under NLP coursework at IIT Gandhinagar. We Team 8 are here to give presentation on the topic Stack 3 TB of permissively licensed source code. Before moving ahead, let me go through a brief breakdown through code LLMs. Code LLMs are trained on large collection of source code and enable the synthesis of programs from both natural language description and other code snippets. For example, by auto-completing the code snippets from natural language given by humans. One of the biggest challenges faced by researchers while working on code LLMs lead to the motivation for the discovery of the stack. The reason for the motivation is the lack of openness and transparency around the development of these systems. While handful of papers are present on LLMs that have been published, they do not always give full insight to the development process. The stack here comes into play. The stack is a permissively licensed source code. What is a permissive license? It is a type of open source software license that imposes minimal restriction on how the software can be used, modified, and redistributed. Unlike copyleft licenses, which require derivative works to be distributed under same license, permissive license allow for more flexibility. By releasing a dataset that can be shared, inspected, and used for pre-training, we the LLM model development process can be made more reproducible and transparent. This is the main motive behind the stack. Previous works include the comparison of a stack with four different source code data models. One of the biggest competitor of stack is CodeParrot. The stack and CodeParrot both are trained under 30 programming languages, but the size of the CodeParrot is about 3 times smaller than the stack. Also, CodeParrot involves copyleft license along with permissively licensed repository, while the stack allows only for permissively licensed repositories. AlphaCode and CodeGen are another second last competitor of the stack. AlphaCode just have 12 different programming languages and size very small as compared to the stack, and CodeGen has just 6 different programming languages and size very small as compared to the stack.
Next comes the dataset collection. They have collected the set of active GitHub repository names from GitHub Archive. This is an open source project working on archiving and releasing the public GitHub timeline. These this timeline only contain GitHub events such as forking a repository and commenting on issue and not the code repositories. They extracted 220 million unique repos from Jan 1st, 2015 to March 31st, 2022. They have cloned this using distributed computer cluster for a couple of months. And they got around 137 million repos. They could not clone all the repos as some were made private or deleted. These 137 million repos contains 52 billion files, which of 92 TB of data. In this, they did not store binary files like APK, PNG, JPG, as they cannot be used for pre-training. After this, they have selected file extensions which are uh, which are approved programming languages such as py, .cpp, etc. And they got around 28 TB of data. Next, they did license filtering. Here they use Go license detector. This detector scans the repository and returns the list of predictions. With the file, it gives each file a SPDX license identifier and a confidence score. Like this, they got around 80% of the files do not contain any licenses, and 9.6% contain MIT licenses, and, and remaining are other licenses. Like this, they got around 3 TB of data. After they did near deduplication, uh, near deduplication is initially out of this 3 TB of data, they divided each file into tokens, and they removed the files which are less than 10 tokens. And for the remaining files, they have computed mini hash, and on that they applied a local sensitive hashing, which creates a cluster of duplicates, and they removed the duplicates, and they got around 1.5 TB of data.
Next, they did some analysis on the dataset they have collected, and they found that the languages, programming languages like HTML, JavaScript, Java, and C, they comprises almost 55% of the dataset. And they also compared with other datasets, other existing datasets like Code Parrot, Alpha Code, and Polycode, and they announced that Code Parrot has 30 languages, same as the stack dataset, and Alpha Code and Polycode have 12 languages, programming languages in the dataset. And they extracted, they took some subset of Python files from the dataset. Say it's almost 10,000 Python files, and they extracted text from the documents and comments in that files for the training the model. And for identification of the language in the docstrings and comments of the Python files, they use fasttext library, and they found 94% of the time they found English as the language they are used in the Python files as in docstrings and comments. As you can see in this plot, in this bar plot, as I said, like HTML, JavaScript, and Java C, it's almost 1 TB of data. HTML and JavaScript is less than 1 TB, and they four comprises of 55% of the dataset. And this is the languages used in the doctrines and comments of the Python files. You can find that English is more used, like almost 10,000 files, and then Chinese and then French. And the experimental setup they used four versions of the Python set and some Python subset of the code parrot dataset. And for the training setup, they used only the decoder only transformers with 350 million parameters. In the configuration of the transformer is the number of layers used were 24, and the attention heads were 16, and the hidden dimension length is 1024, and sequence length is 2048. And in the tokenization, they processed 235.9 billion tokens, and they have used Atom Optimizer as gradient descent algorithm, gradient descent, and the learning rate they use just 3 into 10 power minus 4. And they have trained the data collected from the doc strings and comments, and they have trained the model CodeGen with 350 million parameters, and they have used pass at k metric to evaluate the model. And pass at k metric is generally for each problem the model generates k solutions. If at least one of those k solutions solves the problem correctly, it counts as a success. And the fraction of the problems that our model is successful to solve this way is called the pass k score. And these are the results they got for the codex and codegen model they trained. And you can find that the code parrot model they have that 30.37 score as pass at 100 evaluation metric, and for the Python permissive license they have 36%, which is more than the existing one. And same for the then they have evaluated on the two benchmark data sets like human evaluation and MBBP. Maybe means mostly basic Python programming, and they found that their dataset, uh, the dataset they trained performs very well than the existing ones.
So, so we have seen all the process of first the introduction, how the data is being collected, and later the data set analysis, and the graphs and the results. But concluding all this, there's mainly 2 points which need to be considered. The first one is the dataset collection and the data analysis, and its performance on the human eval benchmark. The first one is it is performing pretty much on par are actually performing better than the previous models. And the second one is the near duplication method, which have been used in this method, where uh, initially it was around 3 TB of data, which have been reduced to 1.5 TB of data, which is the actual useful data. So you can see the 50% of data is basically redundant. And these are the main two conclusions by which we can say that the model is being performed well, and we have also introduced something in the data collection part. Then
लिमिटेशंस, इसमें जो डाटा सेट लिया है वो पूरी तरह मालवेयर से स्कैन नहीं है, जिससे कि अगर हम उस किसी भी डाटा सेट से अगर डाटा सेट इंपोर्ट करेंगे तो हो सकता है कि उस टाइम सिक्योरिटी टूल ट्रिगर्ड हो जाए, या अगर हमने एलएलएम ट्रेन किया इस डाटा सेट में जिसमें कि मालवेयर हो सकते हैं, तो जो आउटपुट मिलेगा एलएलएम का ट्रेन करने के बाद वो हार्मफुल कोड भी दे सकता है जो कि सिस्टम को नुकसान कर सकता है। हैकर्स वगैरह इस तरह के एलएलएम मॉडल को अपने अकॉर्डिंग ट्रेन करके हार्मफुल एप्लीकेशन भी बना सकते हैं। इसमें डाटा सेट में पर्सनल इंफॉर्मेशन रिमूव नहीं किया है, तो प्राइवेसी के लिए रिस्क हो सकता है। इसमें जो लाइसेंस डिटेक्टर यूज किया है वो 100% श्योर नहीं है कि हमेशा करेक्टली क्लासिफाइड करेगा, हो सकता है कि वो इनकरेक्ट क्लासिफाई कर ले किसी किसी इनपुट पे। इसमें जो टेक्स्ट टू कोड मॉडल बनाया है वो पाइथन के सिंपल मॉडल पे यूज किया है, तो डिफरेंट मॉडल पे और अदर प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज पे उसका यूज नहीं किया है। इसमें जो एलएलएम मॉडल ट्रेन करके जो टेक्स्ट देने पे जो कोड आउटपुट मिलता है, तो वो ये नहीं दिखाता कि जो कोड आउटपुट मिला है वो पहले किसने लिखा था, ये प्रॉपर क्रेडिट नहीं देता है। हमारे पास जो डाटा सेट है उसमें बहुत सारे बाइसेस भी हो सकते हैं, जैसे डाटा सेट क्या है, कोड्स है अलग अलग प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज के, तो प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज में हमें पता नहीं कि ये लिखा किसने है, उसकी जेंडर क्या है, इस तरह की इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं है डेमोग्राफिक। तो अगर हम इस तरह के डाटा सेट से मॉडल ट्रेन करें तो जो एलएल मॉडल होगा वो लिमिटेड अंडरस्टैंडिंग रखेगा यूजर्स के नीड्स की, कि उसको पता नहीं होगा कि किस ग्रुप को कौन सा आउटपुट देना होगा, और उसको पता नहीं है कि इनपुट में कितनी डाइवर्सिटी है, तो उसकी वजह से भी बायसेस आ सकते हैं। डाटा सेट्स में कमेंट्स वगैरह होते हैं, स्ट्रिंग वगैरह, तो हो सकता है अगर कमेंट्स और स्ट्रिंग्स में हार्मफुल लैंग्वेज लिखी हो और मॉडल ट्रेन हो जाए तो मॉडल का आउटपुट भी हार्मफुल हार्मफुल कमेंट्स भी देगा। और जैसे इन्होंने पाइथन में मॉडल ट्रेन किया है तो पाइथन में 96% कमेंट्स इंग्लिश में होते हैं, तो जो आउटपुट मिलेगा मॉडल ट्रेन होने के बाद वो भी 96% इंग्लिश होने के कारण आउटपुट भी इंग्लिश में ही देगा मोस्टली, तो उससे नॉन इंग्लिश स्पीकर को अंडरस्टैंड करने में दिक्कत हो सकती है। जैसे इस डाटा सेट में पॉपुलर पॉपुलर लैंग्वेज के एग्जाम्पल याद है, तो पॉपुलर लैंग्वेज के कोड वो जनरेट मोर एक्यूरेटली करेगा उन लैंग्वेज से जिसके एग्जाम्पल कम है, और बहुत सारी लैंग्वेज के परमिसिव लाइसेंस नहीं है, जैसे एसक्यूएल वगैरह के 4% ही फाइल्स के लाइसेंस है, तो इसके डाटा सेट भी कम हो जाएंगे, तो मॉडल एक्यूरेटली ट्रेन नहीं होगा। इसमें फ्यूचर वर्क में जैसे पर्सनल इंफॉर्मेशन रिमूव कर सकते हैं, मिलीशियस कोड हम प्रॉपरली डाटा सेट से रिमूव कर सकते हैं, डेवलपर को हम पॉसिबिलिटी दे सकते हैं कि वो मतलब डाटा रिमूव कर सकते हैं अपने डाटा सेट से, और हम बायसेस डाटा सेट से रिमूव करने पे भी काम कर सकते हैं, और जो कोड जनरेट हो रहा है उसके लीगल इथिक्स और गवर्नेंस पे भी काम कर सकते हैं।